Hello everybody, I'm Gryphon Gaming, and welcome back to Depression Quest. I was actually going to stop recording in this session, but I realized that if I quit the game, it's going to make me restart, and I don't want to have to go through all that again. So I'm just going to try to keep going, for a little bit longer at least. It's a little past 8 p.m. on a Tuesday night. You're at your computer, frustration levels peaked, rubbing your eyes and sighing heavily. You're working on a project from your job that has you stretched to wit's end trying to meet a looming deadline. And as it lurks closer and closer, you're seriously doubting your ability to get it done. You're dragging your feet a little at work due to your complete lack of energy lately, in spite of wanting to do a good job. You find yourself unable to push it past and feel horribly useless for it. You slide your hands off your face to look at your screen as it beeps at you. "Hey, are you there? I really need to talk to someone about something," says Attic. You feel like you've been getting nowhere with your current task and could probably use a break. However, you know that you have a history of getting distracted and then losing motivation to pick something back up again afterwards. What do you do? I like Attic. Attic was so far one of the most helpful people to me. He was really, really super supportive of me. And I'm supposedly more comfortable with being on the internet. So I want to answer him. But if I don't want to lose this job either, because that's really important. God. If anybody doesn't have this game and wants to get it, I would super suggest it, because it is really, really deep and really, really hard in not the challenge sense, but in the, I already said that, emotional sense. Okay, I'm gonna answer Attic. You're feeling like you hit a brick wall with your task, so why not take a break and help out a friend? "Hey, what's up? Oh, good, you're there. I just found out I got cheated on. I don't know what to do. You. Oh no, that's horrible." The two of you talk for a long time, and you lend a shoulder to your friend. You give him space to rant, to cry, and most importantly, to be able to voice his inner turmoil. You will give him your full attention and talk him through what his options are for what he does next. You keep him from doing something rash, and the two of you decide it's best for him to sleep on it before doing anything. Exhausted, he departs for bed and thanks you for being there to talk with him. As you close the IM window, you feel horribly sorry for your friend, but happy that you were able to help. It serves as a tangible reminder that you're capable of being useful to someone instead of solely being a mess that needs everyone else's help. You boot up your project and find that you're suddenly able to get some solid progress done on it that night. Boom! Yes. See? that is the best feeling in the world. Oh my god. It's a sunny Saturday afternoon. You're in deep thought on the way home from therapy. However, you notice this time you're not in the same negative feedback loops you usually get trapped in when being in this introspective. You realize that, although you still have your bad days, your lows aren't quite as low as they used to be. Your antidepressant bottle rolls across your dashboard as you take a left turn. You've been on this medication for quite a while now, and after a period of trying a few different kinds. Though you still have minor side effects, they've overall become an unnoticed part of your life. You feel as if your life has generally changed for the better recently, and you begin to wonder if you need them anymore. You don't feel as much despair or hopelessness, and you hate yourself a lot less these days. Maybe it's time to stop taking these, you think. I seem to not really need them anymore. What do you do? Okay. So, the issue is that, remember how the side effects thing affected my date with Alex earlier? So if I stop taking the meds, I won't have the side effects anymore. But this thing down here says the medication is helping to keep the edge off and some of the darker and more negative feedback loops from being as prevalent. So I'm going to keep taking it, I think. I think Alex will be able to understand. Give me a second. Sorry, I have the burps in this session. You have the realization that you can't be sure if it's a general life change that's making you feel better, or if it's a sign the medication is working. You decide against discontinuing your meds, and it's really not a lesson you'd like to learn the hard way, and the side effects of this particular kind are negligible. The next time you see Dr. Melville, you tell her about this. She informs you this is a common train of thought that people have begun using medication to help them manage their depression experience, and that you managed to dodge a bullet because it generally ends poorly. She also asks you to talk to her first before making any decisions about your medication in the future. Hooray! It's yet another sleepless Thursday night. You're at Alex's apartment, wide awake in bed as she's sleeping peacefully beside you. She fell asleep hours ago, and you've been laying there, unable to shut up your brain long enough to fall asleep. You've added the feelings of insecurity about your relationship to the rest of the noise in your head keeping you up tonight. Darn it. It was kind of a tense night between the two of you. You arrived after a stressful day at work, and as you made dinner together, you barely said a word. You were stuck in your own head and had a hard time really being present with her as your thoughts turned to all the ways you feel you're... You were deficient at being a good person and beating yourself up mentally for each one. She could tell you were in one of your moods, and said that she wouldn't push you, but missed talking to you as the two of you sat on the couch together. You wanted to tell her how much you love her, but you couldn't make the words come out right, and ended up sounding defensive instead. As you lay there next to her now, you trace your fingers over her arm just lightly enough to not wake her. You still haven't explained your depression to her, or how you started seeing a therapist, or that you've been taking medication. It's starting to feel more and more like a secret you're keeping instead of something she simply doesn't know about you yet. It's becoming more and more apparent that it's impacting your relationship with her, and you feel guilty about this. However, you're also terrified that if she knew exactly how f***ed up you are, she would leave you. Censorship, because in case any young viewers are watching this video. You already worried that she's only with you because she doesn't realize how terrible of a person you are yet, and you're only afraid that this would be the final thing to expose you. She stirs in her sleep and squints as she opens her eyes. With the confusion of the thing that comes with waking up, she asks if you're awake and then if everything's okay. Oh, she is gonna know, because we've had good times. We have a lot of really good times. She's been super supportive of me, so I'm telling her. Just a moment. You feel like a jerk for accidentally waking her up, but you're afraid if you put this off any longer that you won't find the strength to tell her everything later. No, actually, everything isn't okay. Can I tell you something? Something important? Alex sits up, rubbing the sleep out of her eyes. For the rest of the night, you lay side by side, holding hands as you tell her everything. You tell her how it's more than just feeling sad sometimes, and how you feel trapped by your own mind sometimes. How sometimes you feel nothing at all, and how you can't shake it off. You tell her how you started going to therapy, how you feel embarrassed about it, and how it's working out for you. She listens the entire time, occasionally asking questions about how this or that works, or asking you to explain something further. She squeezes your hand and tells you she understands, and that she's sad that you didn't tell her sooner. After laying silent for a moment, the weight of what you did hits you. You desperately want her to say something, to tell you how she's feeling about all this, but you're too afraid of what the answer could be to ask. You start convincing yourself that now that she knows everything, she's going to leave. There's no way someone can deal with how you really are. So how can I help? What do you need me to do? She asks. You think for a second, and the answer you come up with fills you with despair. I honestly don't know. I wish I knew how to fix this, but I don't know that you can do anything. I think it's something I'm going to have to live with. She looks at you with sad eyes before kissing you on the forehead. Then I'll live it with you. I don't know how you could possibly love me. She rolls over and wraps her arms around your neck, sitting her head on top of yours. You don't need to. Just know that I do. Okay, that was touching. Oh, my heart. The feels are super intense. God, if I had Alex as an actual girlfriend in my life, I would cry. She is super awesome. It is a Friday night, and you're laying across your bed, feeling pathetic. As you were leaving work tonight, a group of coworkers asked if you wanted to join them for drinks. Feeling antisocial and put on the spot, you declined. You have a habit of doing this, and you're often so convinced that you are weird and terrible, and that any invitation to hang out will end in disappointment for those inviting you. You never feel like you know how to act in the group outings, and you feel like a total creep since it seems to come so naturally to anyone who isn't you. You find yourself petrified of breaking some unknown social rule that you don't often go out. Now, however, you find yourself alone at home. Your brain has begun telling you how pathetic and sad you are for being unable to be a normal person and go out with nice people. You can't figure out why you can't just go and meet people and enjoy yourself. At the same time, you're also feeling like no one would possibly want to hang out if they really knew you, because you're dull and weird anyway. You try our typical strategy to boot at Netflix to distract yourself from these feelings, but frustration with yourself builds. and you realize you have to do something else with your night. Anything else to take off your mind of how lonely you feel. What do you do? Just a second. Gosh, this phrase really takes out my voice. It's like entirely narration. Okay, so this is actually a tough option, because I know, according to what I've done so far, my first thing would be to call Alex. The next option would be to see if Attic is online. But I like my cat, you know? And I got that cat for a reason. I'm doing pretty well. So Alex, Attic, cat. Alex, Attic, cat. I think since I helped out Attic, he might be more useful to me. So let's do that. You sit down at the computer and open your chat client. Attic is indeed online, and the two of you catch up briefly before you start passing links to news stories and weird YouTube videos back and forth. Eventually, he asks if you'd like to play a multiplayer game with him, and you start the download. Realizing you haven't eaten yet, you tell him you'll be back in time for the download to finish after you made yourself some dinner. Out in the kitchen, you notice the time on your microwave. Several hours more than you had expected had passed, and you've only just now realized it. Though it's not going out to a bar with people, you feel like this had taken the edge off of the loneliness you were expecting earlier. Even though he's an internet friend, sometimes when you are too down to be social, he's the perfect person to talk to. You connect with him on a meaningful level, and you find it easier to be yourself while talking to him than you do in most face-to-face social interactions. When you're down, you find yourself using this as another reason to feel like a loser, as though you can only make friends if they didn't have to deal with you in person, but now you're relieved to be around him. You finish making your sandwich and sit back down at your computer. Your dinner has finished, and Attic is waiting on you to start. Alright. Oh my god, everything is getting so much better. Okay, I really think I'm doing this. I think I'm going to succeed. I wonder if I can finish it in this episode. I mean, my voice is like totally dead, but if I can, I'd be super happy. It is a cold Saturday afternoon. You've just arrived at Alex's apartment, and you're happy to finally see her after a week of absence due to your schedule is not lining up due to work and school. You hug her in the doorway, but she breaks away sooner than normal and sits down on the couch as you take off your sneakers and lay them in the usual place, right next to hers. Oh. Sorry, I'm kind of brain dead. There's something I was hoping we could talk about, actually, she says. You instantly worry that you're being blindsided by a breakup conversation due to the sudden shift in tone, but he quickly smiles and puts you at ease when she sees all the color leave your face. It's nothing bad, I promise. With that, she leads you over to the couch and sits on the other end of it, facing you. I hope this doesn't freak you out, and if you feel like things are going too fast, just tell me. She talks faster than usual and fidgets. We seem to have a lot of weeks like this, and they really suck. I was thinking I'd ask, since things are so strong with us. What are your thoughts on maybe moving in together? It takes a few seconds to sink in, and leaves you a bit shocked when it does. You were worried she wanted to spend less time with you, not more. Do you want to? You ask. Well, yeah, I do. I mean, we'd have to sort out logistics and everything, but all those things we can take care of. You start to walk through the steps of imagining the two of you living together. You love the thought of being able to wake up next to her every day, and seeing her so often. However, the more you picture it, the more a few concerns become apparent. These are the things she's insulated from, like the days you don't feel you can even get out of bed, the nights your medication keeps you from being able to sleep. All of those moments you're stuck staring at the wall, completely out of energy and feeling nothing. How could she handle that? How quickly would you want to get away? I want to let her know these concerns, see if she'd be okay with it. But, I do want to move in with her. You are really worried that if Alex were going to live with you, she wouldn't be able to deal with your days of being unable to get out of bed or nights, where you can do nothing but stare at the wall and panic. Even though you've discussed your situation with her, you still fear that she doesn't realize the depths of how bad it gets. It's one thing for you to detail how you feel sometimes, and for her to see it pop up occasionally. It's an entirely different situation for it to be something she has to live with alongside you. Well, I'd like to, but I think it's best if you talk about it a bit more before committing to a decision. Though she seems a little defeated, make it clear that you're not making excuses and you actually mean that you want to talk. You reiterate a lot of what you told Alex that night, and although she gets a little defensive and tells you that she knows all of that already, she confirms that she is willing to help you sort through your issues. I feel like you forget I love you sometimes. I know that there will be a lot of bad days, and I'd rather try to work through them with you. We can figure all this out together. Her words sway you, and you can't help but hold her close to you. Oh my god, I'm doing well. My therapist is saying I'm alive. My medication is working. I think I'm gonna win this game. I think I'm gonna try to keep going until I win this game. It's December, and you've returned to your parents' house to celebrate the holidays with your family. Out the living room window, you can see a gentle flurry of snow drifting down to meet the pristine blanket of white from yesterday's unexpected Christmas Eve snowfall, and you quietly laugh to yourself at how incredibly cliché it seems. Still, as you sit down to dinner, you can't help but notice how being surrounded by family and the overly kitschy atmosphere your mom decorations have created have actually made you feel relaxed and almost comfortable. Your mom is running around frantically, checking the oven and stockings, and you're generally trying to family time it up, while your dad sits at the head of the table drinking a beer and laughing with your brother Malcolm. His wife Karen is there too, whom you've always gotten along well with, and your parents even agreed to let you bring your kitten along. She's been darting in and out of people's legs and hopping into laps all night. Cute. As you thoughtfully munch away at your turkey, listening to the conversations around you, your thoughts drift back over the last few months. You think of how hard things have gotten, replaying over in your head some of your worst and some of your best memories. It seemed like all of these things just came to a head over the past few months. With a sudden flurry of relationship turmoil and professional anxiety, social stress, and all above an omnipresent sense of weight that it seems you have just recently become aware of, you're drawn out of your reverie by your dad's familiar booming laugh as some cheesy comment Malcolm made seemed to have hit its mark. Sitting at the table, you're suddenly immensely glad for the chance to be able to ignore everything for an evening and not have to struggle trying to explain yourself for once. Fortunately, everyone seems to be content with laughing at each other's jokes and discussing favorite sports teams, and for a while you think you'll be able to get through dinner without embarrassing any personal instructions, but no sooner did the thought cross your mind than the conversation trickles off, leaving a slightly awkward silence to descend upon dinner. So how are you doing these days? Your mom asked you pointedly. It's such a simple question, and one that you seem to have answered countless times recently. You take a moment to collect your thoughts, and then look up, taking a deep breath. Well? You've never really thought of yourself as a fighter, and even to say it now, it sounds hokey, but looking back at the past few months to where you are now, it really does feel like you've endured an immense struggle. And you look at just where you are now with a sense of something that isn't quite pride. You still hate your job and find it unpleasant, but you're surprised to find that going to work every day is no longer a monumental challenge. You've started adopting some clever techniques, like taking short 2-minute breaks every hour to break up the monotony, and you now view your job as just 8 short hours of your day, a compartmentalization technique Dr. Melville told you about that you found actually works quite well. You know this job isn't what you want to do for the rest of your life, and you've started actively looking for other positions, even attending a couple of preliminary interviews. You've started making an effort to go out with your friends more. While the social scene still makes you very uncomfortable sometimes, you're more and more able to let yourself just enjoy the company of friends. In fact, your relationship with many of them has increased over the past little while. You still definitely have the days where you flake out or don't feel up to hanging out, but the most part of your friends are understanding and appreciate your communication. By far the biggest change you've noticed in your life has been in your relationship with Alex. You're terrified of talking to her, you were terrified of talking to her about everything at first, but looking back you feel like it's only strengthened your relationship. She was always supportive of you emotionally, but lately the two of you have been even more and it's really starting to feel like you're building a life together. It even seems like the two of you have been making more concerted effort to sync up your schedules and have been spending more and more time of your downtime with each other. Pretty soon you think moving in together would be a very real possibility. Dr. Melville has commented on how well you seem to be doing, and whether a result of the therapy, the medication, or both, but you can't help but agree. With all that seems to have improved recently, it's sometimes difficult for you to think about the fact that you still have a few bad days, sometimes even really bad days. They serve as a stark reminder of the fact that this will be something you likely have to deal with for the rest of your life. Depression is a battle, and though you're certainly ahead in the fight, you know the battle isn't ever going to be over. Sometimes even Alex can tell when things are going rough, despite of your best efforts to the contrary. While you know that your depression can never be cured, you have a very strong support network in your friends, and even Malcolm, and armed with a newfound confidence in your friends and family, you accept that, though the road may be rocky, it's at the very least not solitary. You meet your mom's gaze from across the table and muster up a smile. "I'm good, Mom," you tell her. She says nothing, but you can feel the smile across the room. "Oh my god, I beat it, oh my god." We really like to thank you for taking the time to play Depression Quest. We realize it may not be the most enjoyable game you've ever played, or even the easiest, and we sincerely appreciate your involvement. Like depression itself, Depression Quest does not have an end, really. There is no neat resolution to depression, and it was important to us that Depression Quest's own resolution reflect that. Instead of a tidy ending, we just wanted to provide a series of outlooks to keep moving forward. After all, that's all we can really do with depression, just keep moving forward. And at the end of the day, it's our outlook and support from people just like you that makes all the difference in the world. Thanks again. Thank you for joining me, everybody. This has been a crazy adventure. Thank you to all these people to make such an amazing game, such an intense game, such a depressing game, but such an uplifting game. Such a good game. I would highly suggest everybody go download this, play it for yourself, and thank you so much for joining me. If you watched this series, thank you so much. It's been a real support, and thank you for supporting my channel and me. Gryphon Gaming signing out, and thanks for watching my series of Depression Quest. Bye.